where we blend faith, fitness, and wellness to help you live in alignment with God's design. Together, we'll explore practical strategies, biblical wisdom, and inspiring testimonies to strengthen your body, renew your mind, and uplift your spirit. Our Well Woman foundational scripture is 3 John chapter 1 verse 2. Dear friend, I pray that you may enjoy good health and that all may go well with you, even as your soul is getting along well. This is a space for us to grow in faith and wellness together. Welcome back to the Well Woman Coaching Podcast, where faith meets wellness. I'm your host, Alexis Crisp, certified Christian life coach, fitness trainer, and nutrition educator. Today, in part two of our Cycle Syncing for Faith, Fitness, and Fullness of Life series, we are focusing on the menstrual and follicular phases. These are your body's built in times for rest, renewal, and rebuilding. If you missed episode 1, I encourage you to go back and listen for an overview of all four phases and how this God given rhythm can become a framework for your health and wellness. Let's go deeper. We'll start first with the menstrual phase. These are days 1 through 5 of your menstrual cycle. This is the first day that you bleed. What happens during this phase is that hormones like estrogen and progesterone are going to be at their lowest. Your body is doing very important work, and that's why it is time to slow down. I always want scripture in my life to back up all of the things that I'm trying and my wellness practices. Matthew chapter 11, verse 28 reminds us, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." This is your physical and spiritual invitation to pause and receive that rest. Now, what foods should we be having during this menstrual time, days 1 through 5? Warming, iron rich meals like soups and stews, roasted vegetables, these things are going to be warming and nourishing to your body during this menstrual time. Grain free and low carb options can really help to stabilize your energy. And my personal favorite, which I incorporated into my juicing regimen, leafy green vegetables like kale and spinach can help to replenish your iron stores. Some other tips for what you can eat based on the cycle syncing method that I read in that book, In the Flow by Alyssa Vitti. That's what brought this into my awareness a few years ago. There are certain foods that are recommended. So when I looked at the list, I just very loosely, casually started to incorporate these things. I was already juicing at a very high level, so it was not difficult for me to add this as another level of my juicing. One of the vegetables that are recommended during this time, which should not be surprising, are beets. Beets are very blood building. So it wasn't surprising to me when I saw this in the menstrual phase. And again, based on where I was at in my own wellness journey at the time, I look at these things as like, what makes sense? Does it make sense that we eat the same foods all year long based on how God has set up seasons for us? No, it does not. So it made sense to me that since my body is actually going through its own four seasons every month, that also I should not be eating the same foods all month. And that is how I looked at this as a guide. So days 1 through 5, there are a lot of things that recommended, but I only highlighted the ones that, first of all, that I knew what it was and that it was something I could easily incorporate. So beets and kale are highly recommended during the menstrual phase. In terms of fruit, blackberry, blueberry, and watermelon are recommended. Also, kidney beans. If you are a meat eater, that is a time for duck, which I do not eat duck or pork, but those two are recommended during your menstrual phase. Another thing that's recommended is miso and bancha tea. I have started drinking bancha green tea as part of my regimen, which I'm drinking it all month long, not specifically during the menstrual phase. But this is good to just have in our awareness of a framework during the month on what to eat and how to live our lives. So that's the menstrual phase. Beets and kale, highly recommended, leafy green vegetables are going to help to replenish your iron. And then in terms of fitness, how should we be exercising during this season of the month for us? For the menstrual phase, you're really going to want to do low impact. If you're a high level athlete, what's low for you is not going to be the same as for the average person. So for the average woman, it is recommended that you rest. Walking is sufficient exercise. If you do any type of restorative stretching practice, if you have a yoga practice in your life, if that aligns with your spiritual and wellness journey, that is the time for it. Mat Pilates, that are going to be gentle, restorative, and more in a recovery mode for your body. This is a great time to be stretching using your foam roller. Avoid pushing and trying to do your personal best during this time. So if you are a runner, you play tennis, whatever things that you have going on, this is not the season of the month for you to try to break records. Focus on restorative movements. And here's a little bit of what the science says is that during menstruation, some women actually perform better on tasks that require focus, so, not your physical endurance, but your mental endurance. Tasks that require focus. One study found that we had a faster reaction time and fewer errors, and that's from the Times that was published in 2024. So that means while your body may want to rest, your mind can still be sharp. And I find that fascinating. So, again, once I got this information and started to leverage my menstrual cycle as a superpower, not a hindrance, not a burden, not a curse, not anything for me to dread. Also, keep in mind if you have listened to my previous episodes, as a result of juicing and all of the beneficial foods and fitness that I've incorporated into my life, I have completely rid myself of any type of menstrual cramps at all. And when I say at all, I mean at all. I do not feel anything happening when I have my period. it is it's just a thing that's happening. I honestly need reminders. I have to be reminded that I have my period because I don't feel anything happening. And it's been 5 years for me. As long as I keep my nutrition on point, my fitness on point, I do not have menstrual cramps at all. So I need to tap into this cycle syncing to remind myself to rest because I do feel pretty great while I have my period, but it's not going to be the time for me to set any personal fitness records. I want to honor my body, honor this season, honor this design that God has placed, and give myself an opportunity to even practice rest. For those of us who rest is a challenging area for us, an opportunity for growth. When I do have my period and I'm bleeding, it's a time for me to practice the practice of rest. It is time for me to sit still. So that is the menstrual phase, and that's days 1 through 5. Next, we'll talk about the follicular phase. This is going to be days 6 through 14, and this is after the bleeding ends. After the bleeding ends, your estrogen starts to rise, your energy, creativity, motivation, all of those things are going to increase. So, one of the reasons why I get so excited when I do actually get my period, the first side of blood for me, day 1, I get excited because I already know I've been tracking this for 3 years now. I'm so excited to get to like day 7, 8, 9. I know the best version of me is on the rise. She's coming through, and and I'm ready, I'm resting so that I can pave the way for her to really take center stage. So once the bleeding ends, estrogen begins to rise. Your energy, creativity, and motivation, all of those things are going to increase. What does scripture say? Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1. Again, we're going to lean on this. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. This is the season, ladies. This is our season for a fresh start. Dream, create, do all of those things that are on your heart. Do it during this follicular time. I tapped into this, and I promise you, even if it's a placebo effect, the placebo effect is still an effect. This has given me a framework to structure my life around, to structure my work and projects, and all of these things that has been highly beneficial for me. What are the things we should be eating during this time? Light, fresh meals. If you do eat whole grains and oats and quinoa, it would be the time for that. It's not part of my food practice, but if those are the foods that you eat, this is the season for it. Crisp vegetables are going to be beneficial during this time. So, broccoli and zucchini, those things are going to be very helpful. And again, this is day 6 through 14. So when I looked at this list again as a framework, just a guide, I highlighted the vegetables I was already taking in. So it's broccoli, lettuce, parsley, green peas, string beans, and zucchini. I highlighted them and said, great, I'm already juicing a lot of these things. What if I were to shift and focus on these vegetables during this season that the book is recommended? And that is how I started to really maximize the benefits of the nutrition instead of having carrot juice all month long. What if I focused and strategically had that carrot juice during the follicular phase? That's what I did. What if I strategically made sure I was having zucchini during the follicular phase? Again, we're not married to any of these practices. If someone's serving zucchini and it's my luteal some other phase, I'm going to eat the zucchini. If I'm getting broccoli from the farmer's market at some other season, I'm eating the broccoli. These things we're using just as a framework to to set our wellness up. So those are the vegetables that are recommended. In terms of fruit, some of the fruits that are recommended are avocado and grapefruit, plums. I do eat plums, so that's a time for me to focus on taking those in. If you eat beans, black-eyed peas are good, green lentils and lima beans are going to be good during this follicular phase. And then in terms of exercise, how should we be moving our bodies? It's a good opportunity to try new and energizing workouts while your energy is on the rise, while your creativity and motivation is on the rise. This is the time to try a dance class, go hiking, jump rope, any of those things that are new. Somebody invites you to hip hop dance class, you might be more likely to you feel more adventurous during this follicular time, days 6 through 14, to take the leap and give it a shot because your energy and creativity are higher during these times. So if you are starting something new, let's set ourselves up for success. Would it make sense to start it towards the end, you know you're about to get your period, and then you're like, okay, I know I have to do something. I'm gonna in the next week I'm gonna start taking Zumba classes. I'm gonna No, that doesn't make sense based on the time of the month. You are less likely to get a new exercise regimen, go to a new class. You're less likely to get these things up off the ground successfully during your menstrual phase. Why not give it a go? Set your month up when you know that your follicular phase is coming and you are naturally designed to be more creative and more energized. That's the time to go to those classes. Remember, this is not about having rigid rules. It's about stewardship of the temple God gave you. Some months are going to go smooth, and every month is a different month. Your body is your guide, it is not your enemy. I really encourage everyone to start to honor these natural rhythms that God has given us. The goal is to create rhythms that help you to serve, create, and rest in God's timing rather than forcing ourselves into the world's constant hustle. There's an exact right time of the month where we are at our best and it feels like we can keep up with everything that's going on. But don't be down on yourself during your menstrual cycle when you aren't the same version that you were just a few weeks before because you're just in a different rhythm. Let's honor our cycles. So, an action step we can take this week: track which phase you're in and then try to match up your foods and your workouts to that phase. So far, we've only gone over the menstrual and follicular. And remember, in the menstrual, we want to rest, and in follicular, we can start to take it up a notch. Follicular is when you're going to go try out that dance class. You can be jumping rope. If you've always wanted to try a cycling class, do it during that follicular time. So start to keep track of what your body is saying and doing, how it responds, your energy, your moods, and even your focus. And over time, you will start to discover what works best for you. Next week, we'll look at the ovulatory and luteal phases, your times to shine in your strengths and steward your energy for what's ahead. Thank you for joining me today on the Well Woman Coaching Podcast. My prayer is that what you heard inspires you to care for your body, strengthen your spirit, and walk boldly in your God given purpose. If this episode blessed you, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another woman who's ready to live well. You can find more resources, coaching, and ways to connect with me at wellwomancoaching.net. Until next time, remember 3 John chapter 1 verse 2. Dear friend, I pray that you may enjoy good health and that all may go well with you, even as your soul is getting along well. Let's keep growing in faith and wellness together.